If women don't see you as attractive, you don't even exist to them. You literally are an inanimate object to them. Men and women who have higher body counts are less happy in a marriage. It's true for men and women, but it's twice as true for women. So if you're the guy who's the 5 and you want to date the 10, you put her in the
You see something different than most of the guys who talk about dating, right? Most of the guys saying you should never have female friends. I don't want female friends. And I always thought that was kind of stupid because I just feel like, you know, you have more opportunities to date women if you have a lot of female friends around for a variety of reasons. One, having female friends is social proof to the other girls.
Yes.
Right? And also, those girls have like friends and family members who might want to mate with you at some point, right?
A lot of guys get really bent out of shape when they hear the term female friends. So we'll say female teammates so that you guys don't lose your mind. Having female teammates, people that are in the U Army that are on your side. There's 3 reasons why you have them. Number 1, they give you access to incredible places. Can you imagine you and me and 10 guys trying to get into Mr. Jones like on a Friday night? It's not happening. If we spend $100,000, it's not happening. They're not letting us in there. If I show up with 10 girls, I don't even have to pay to get in. I used to go to the Playboy Mansion for free. The tickets were $1,500, but I would bring 20 or 30 girls with me. Like, here's a crazy thing in Vegas. It's probably like this in Miami. If I take 2 girls to dinner, it's going to be $300-$400. If I take 10 girls to dinner, it's free because it's a comp. That's the way it works. And also, I go to a lot of self-help conferences, or maybe the Aspire Tour, Apex Tour. I might go see Ty Lopez speak, whoever. When I do, I always show up with girls. Every guy in there is like, who the is this guy who showed up to this room where it's 99 dudes for every woman and he's got 6 hot girls with him. So number 1, having female friends gets you access. Number 2, it makes you calibrated. Here's your dream girl. I'm going to put her right in front of you. You pee yourself. Your eyes get big. Your voice cracks. Palms start sweating. Your voice gets high like this. Hey, you want to go get a drink? I watch this happen all the time. If I put your dream girl in front of you, you don't have the technology. You don't have the skill set, the strategy. You don't have the experience. You don't have the expertise, the intuition to be able to deal with this attractive woman in front of you.
You start talking crazy.
Correct.
Acting crazy.
But if you're surrounded by beautiful women all the time, which for me, my point of having that is I managed a strip club for 4 years. And so I was constantly around just naked women all the time. They would sexualize me. Sometimes I'd get groped in the DJ booth. I just totally and completely unaffected by their boobs. Like their nudity and physical attractiveness was totally lost.
Desensitized.
Completely desensitized. And I just noticed how insanely attracted they got to me because I was totally desensitized by it. That's the second thing, is it desensitizes you to your dream girl. If you're around a bunch of girls who look like Megan Fox all the time, when you meet Megan Fox, it doesn't
It's not a big deal.
Not a big deal.
Flip out.
And number 3, here's the big one. Any guy who works in sales, who understands anything about referrals, women introduce you to more women. And here's the crazy part. The girl that you friend zone and she introduces you to your friend and you start dating her friend, guess what happens after a year? The first girl who you friend zone, now she has a crush on you. I had a girl,
but you got to keep her in the friend zone. You got to friend zone her.
Yes, you have. So that's the main thing. You have to friend zone women. This is so hard for people to grasp. If you're a man, you've ever been friend zoned, it's the worst. I actually would rather be cheated on than get friend zoned back. You go after a girl and she tries to friend zone you. In order for you to get friend zoned, you have to accept the demotion. You and I are friends. At no point did I say, hey, let's just be friends, because we're men, right? But that's the thing. That's the difference. But for the woman, it's like she says, let's just be friends. What is she saying? It's like, your penis is not worthy. You are not worthy of sexual access, so I'm going to demote you to this position.
Basically called you a bitch.
For sure. And here's what makes it worse. All of her other female friends, they know she friends on you too. You are either a beta male, look like you have a micro penis, whatever it is. I had a friend of mine, a girl that I'm friends with, and her and I are like, she's always had a boyfriend since I've known her. We've never hit on each other. We've been friends for maybe 12 years. She keeps seeing me, like I'm not her type, and she's actually not my type, but she's very attractive. All of my clients think she's like the hottest chick ever. So she comes up to my best friend kindly, who, again, my best friend is a Playboy model with 3 million followers who has gotten me laid so many times. Seriously, like I'd do anything for this girl. Like every time I walk up to a girl with this girl, there's no effort, there's no work. She goes up to my best friend kindly and she goes, how is Michael with hot girls? Does he have a humongous penis? Like, how is he always with hot girls? Her reality is breaking because she doesn't see me as that physically attractive, but she keeps seeing me with beautiful women all the time, and it's confusing her, and she's trying to square the circle. But in general, that's what generates attraction. So this is a really crazy distinction for those of you really into the evolutionary psychology stuff here, social proof and pre-selection. Pre-selection is actually called mate choice copying in humans.
Yeah.
Mate choice copying and social proof are two separate phenomenon. And I used to think they were the same phenomenon. Meaning, so here's what happens. If you have a bunch of beautiful women with you and they see you on a regular basis with a bunch of beautiful women, two things happen. Number one, women do find you more attractive. But number two, men also want to network with you and you are perceived as higher status. These are two separate phenomena that I was not aware. And it's something that I've noticed is like my favorite podcasters, they generally ask me to come on. Why? Because I'm surrounded by beautiful women. It's one of these things where it's like, because people ask me all the time about like Andrew Tate. How did I meet Andrew Tate? The reason why I met Andrew Tate is because I had a bunch of videos of me with like stunning girls all the time. His team messaged me and then that's how we connected. Same thing, like Fresh says this all the time. He goes, Michael, you're the only guy who I know who says that he can do this shit. And then when I go to Vegas, everything you say is true. You're surrounded by hot girls. You can get us on stage at every single nightclub. Why is that? It's because of the networking that I do that allows me that ability. But look, let's go back to that study that we mentioned before. When people knew each other for a period of time, so let's say a man and a woman meet, if they start dating within the first month, their attractiveness correlates to a high degree.
Okay.
So the best way to date a super hot girl that you just met is to be a super hot man.
Yeah.
According to this study. Her name is Lucy Hunt, did this study back in 2015. Later on, it goes at 4 months, 5 months, that correlation, it starts at about 0.7. It drops to like 0.5, 0.4, 0.3. You can actually be less attractive, but if you've known the girl for 4 months, it's actually more likely. But here's the crazy part. At 9 months, the statistical correlation is not significantly different from 0. That's the exact wording in the study, meaning there's no correlation. So if you're the guy who's the 5 and you want to date the 10, you put her in the friend zone for 9 months. And the data now completely supports what we teach in Men of Action, my course. It completely supports this now. And so that's why a lot of people have had a hard time with it, because a lot of guys in this space, they're angry at women and they've been friend zoned by women. So the idea of having women help you meet other women is so anathema. I didn't say go to women for dating advice. That's not what I said.
No.
What I said was go with 6 girls and they get you invited. It's like you're going to the club and they're like, hey, I just got invited to a mansion party. There's like 25 girls and like 3 dudes there. He said you can come because you got 6 girls with him. And now you're at a mansion party. You're meeting a billionaire while at a party where there's 7 girls for every guy. You got access. And let's just say for this example, all the girls that were in your Range Rover, all 7 of them, you aren't sleeping with any of them. But when you go to that party, you walked in with 7 girls. And now every other girl at the party is like, who the fuck is this dude who just walked in with 7 girls? And it's just so it's really crazy. Because like, Brandon, we can't make them taller. We can't change their eye color. We can't change their skin color. We can make them richer. We can do certain things. But one thing is always free, and that is like the perception of status and pre-selection. Those things we can get any guy for free. So Sandeep from New Delhi or the 5'5" Filipino cashier, those guys, if they have pre-selection, their attractiveness in the eyes of women increases. Remember what I said before? If women don't see you as attractive, you don't even exist to them. You literally are an inanimate object to them. And so that's the thing that's crazy. And by the way, if anybody wants, they can message me. I will show you the studies that support everything I'm saying. And this is a really funny thing that I've noticed, Brandon, is when I express my opinion, I don't really get that much hate. When I show data that actually enforces my opinion, people lose their
more hate from the data.
The body count stuff. It's true. Like really, men and women who have higher body counts are less happy in a marriage. It's true for men and women, but it's twice as true for women. Nobody likes that. That is a biological double standard. And it's almost like biology is misogynistic. It is true. A woman's dissatisfaction at a body count of 20 is equal to a man's dissatisfaction of a body count of 40. I'm way oversimplifying this, but the variation is about 2 to 1. Whereas women, their dissatisfaction per partner before they get married is twice as much as it is for men. Well, the problem is that pisses a lot of people off, because what does that do? It sounds like I'm encouraging men to fuck a bunch of women and women to stay celibate. Do whatever you want. I have friends that are porn stars. I love them as people. I just don't want to date them.
There used to be this girl, I forget her name, she used to work for me, and she was in like all my videos back when I was in New York, and people found her attractive, right? And every time like I would post her, like girls would start DMing me and say what's up. I was like, yo, this is crazy. Like it's the way the female brain works. I would have a lot of female friends in New York, just girls I was cool with, right? I would introduce them to like some of my homies, maybe somebody I want to do business with, right? And I've gotten deals.
Yes, you got deals on.
You know, I made money. On my female friends with just introducing them to other dudes, right? So maybe I introduce her to a baller, she's happy. And then it's like, all right, everyone's happy. I don't know what happens after that. I don't even care.
The term we call that is value arbitrage. So you made a deal. So arbitrage means I make a risk-free transaction. If I introduce a man who has a societal value of a 10 to a woman who has a societal value of a 10, they then look look at me as a 10. It's like Euclidean geometry of A equals B and B equals C, then C equals A. It's the same kind of situation. So I've done this several times before where it has been the billionaire and the Ukrainian runway model. I introduce them to each other and both of them see me on par with them. That's the arbitrage. My status in their eyes has increased and I did nothing. I risk nothing in order to do it.
Yeah.
So that's why what you're saying, of course, networking. And think about this, man. For people who don't understand why this is so important, let me just try to take this back, like for the survival of the species. If you consider men pre-fire, human beings created fire about 1.7 million years ago, and in that time period before that, men did not have the brain capacity. We're talking about hominids. There's no Homo sapiens until 200,000 years ago, but they couldn't kill the lion, the tiger, the bear. They couldn't kill the apex predators. Human beings were not the apex predator on the planet until what? Until we start working together as human beings. And then we are networking. So what you'd say is, since our ancestors networked and those are the ones who had more access to women and then reproduced, the networking gene continues to get passed down. And so what happens is throughout history, you see a correlation between the men who are the best networkers and the men who have the access to the most resources and the most sexual access throughout history. It's ubiquitous. It's just the way it works. You even see it with certain primates where like the two beta males will team up to kill the alpha male. You will see that, right? What is that? That is cooperation and networking that happens, and it does work sometimes like that. But like that's the thing. And so we as humans, the more we get into our phone, the worse we become at networking. We can't read facial cues. In real life, we get worse. This again, remember evolutionary mismatch? This is the mismatch. And so we get worse and worse at being able to talk to other people. And so now our networking skill set, it gets duller and duller. And so now the guys who actually work on that skill set have more access to deals and more access to girls.
I'm glad you're saying it because I ain't want to be the one to say it. I'm just going to.
I got called so many fucking names for the last 16 years because I said this. And then I was like, bro, look at my IG. Like, again, I'm not saying that I'm dating the hottest girls. What I'm saying is I'm nobody. The whole situation happens and, you know, you're sitting there trying to impress these women. You're sitting there trying to do a bunch of stuff, but it's very difficult as a human being to be able to compete with all these other individuals throughout history. And you see, like, again, the Pleistocene Homo sapiens, what do? They networked, and the ones that networked had an advantage over everyone else. You become this incredible force. Now, here's the other thing. What are like the most highest watched shows we see on TV? It's like the World Cup. What are we watching? Men with other men competing to accomplish a goal. What are we seeing when the Super Bowl? It's the same kind of thing. We watch people team up in groups, and I will say that I've said this a million times, the apex of human existence is accomplishing goals with other people and having a family. Those are the two things. And by the way, having a family is also accomplishing a goal with another person. And so that's why our species survived as long as it did, is because our ability to network. And so now when you guys hear me talk so much about networking and social media and all this kind of stuff, understand that's where it comes from. Your ancestors did all this work. And here's the other thing I want you to think about. If you're a guy watching this and you haven't been with a woman in 4 or 5 years, you know, you're not doing well financially, you're living with your mother or whatever, I want you to think about the brutish, hellish nature that your ancestors had to go through just to get to fuck one woman. 40% of men throughout history and 80% of women have reproduced, which means 60% of men throughout history did not reproduce. That's the competitive nature of it. Think about all the predators they had to kill, the fortifications they built, all the things that your male ancestors did to survive just so they could have one wife they could have a kid with. All that brutish, horrible nature just so you could sit there like a fat fuck and play video games and watch porn. Think about your ancestors watching you right now and how weak you are in comparison, like all the sacrifices they made just so they could reproduce, just so they could have you. If you think about that, then it's just like, I would be embarrassed thinking about my ancestors from like the 1850s, just seeing like, no, I'm gonna go out and accomplish shit.
Yo, I tell other black people this all the time, man. Yo, bro, when they tell me they're broke, I get so mad. I'm like, yo, man, not long ago. Right? Motherfuckers were actually fighting for us to have the opportunities we have right now. I get so fucking frustrated when a black guy is broke because we have all way opportunities now that were fought for, people died for. And people call me a sellout for saying that. I'm like, no, man, you need to take advantage of the opportunities. But I didn't even think about taking it back to fucking prehistoric time. I was taking it back to the 60s.
You are the result of an unbroken, almost blockchain of DNA that goes all the way back to Australopithecus. The only thing I know about every person you've ever met is that their ancestors successfully reproduced. That's the only thing I know for certain. And so if that's the only thing we all have in correlation, dude, life is so easy now. Do you understand? Before, this is one of my favorite stats for any of these pickup artists and guys who are players. Before the advent of broad spectrum antibiotics, syphilis had a 58% mortality rate. Imagine all your friends you knew who got syphilis, gonorrhea, chlamydia, whatever. 58% mortality rate.
There's no condom.
There's no, I mean, consider how crazy that is. You don't understand how lucky, dude, we're sitting here in an air-conditioned place right now. Like, we have electricity. Oh, I want food. Boop. And then food just shows up.
You know what the problem is? It's easy to be a lazy motherfucker now, because even somebody on fucking Section 8 welfare, whatever, their lives are better than like kings from 200 years ago.
That's a great example. The example I use is Henry VIII died of gout. I know homeless people who can get treatment for gout now.
Yeah. He don't have no air conditioning?
Yeah, exactly. He had no air conditioning. He'd shit out outside and openly defecate. All this kind of stuff.
If you want to get entertained, he had to fucking call the jester.
His wife annoyed him. He had to kill her. Like, what? Think about all that.
And he had to keep killing.
Had to keep killing him.
Bro, I remember not having cable. Remember how boring it would be sometimes as a little kid with no cable?
So our two and friends' place, because they had cable or they had a Nintendo.
I remember not having Nintendo or cable, and there was nothing for kids to watch until Saturday.
Yeah.
Right now, my son, he got any fucking cartoon he wants to watch on demand. Video game.
Your son can go back and watch every episode of the Transformers that we missed back in 1984, 1986. He can go back and watch every episode for free on the internet now, and we could do that. So yeah, you're right. It's just gotten progressively easier. And here's the thing. Here's how I try to remember it. People can sleep comfortably in their bed at night because there are roughed men somewhere else willing to do violence on their behalf. As long as we recognize that the society that we have today only exists because of a few brutish, violent men who are willing to chisel out this cubbyhole of safetyness so that we can argue whether or not men should wrestle in high school wrestling.
Yeah.
But the only reason we can have that debate, the only reason Mia Khalifa can say it's worse that you join the military than you do porn, because at least in the military you're giving the government your body, or whatever she said. The only reason she can say that is because men in the military who were incredibly violent were willing to carve out this cubbyhole where she could say stupid shit. We just forget that. And that's what happens as society gets easier and more technologically advanced. It breeds weaker men, and those weaker men, as they take over, and then you start seeing like, you need to go to therapy and become more vulnerable. Are you serious? Listen, you and I probably have several friends. They just started telling their girlfriend their problems and the girl just left, right?
Yeah, I've seen it.
Yeah, you want your girl to leave really quick, just tell her all your problems. Now, if these women are leaving these men when they tell them their problems, and we're being told to be more expressive and to talk about our feelings more with our partner, and then that's causing them to leave these men, it sounds like a trap to me. The American Psychological Association, back in 2018, they put out this paper basically saying that traditional masculinity was harmful. And they specifically talked about aggression, assertiveness, and like stoicism. Stoicism is harmful? Like, who do you think like puts out the fire when your house is burning and saves your children? Is it excited, crazy men who are crying, or is it stoic?
Yeah, exactly.
It's just like the lack of gratitude that humanity now has for the men who like created the world that we're in.